Fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Tonight we have another cool one-shot from Sean Little. It's entitled The Faunus, and it's set in the year 2080. This, I believe, is our first space adventure, and we are all really excited. So, without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness of space. Sean?
Thanks, Tom. All of you are employees of the Quan Canyon Corporation and are essentially workers on transport vessels. You work on numerous vessels throughout your careers, depending on the length of your career, of course. And you have been given a job. You're going to be transporting some materials. And that's all you've been initially told. You get to call you in your homes, in your apartments, whatever you want to call it, on the moon. And at a base, you're just relaxing after a week off after a long haul you had made recent weeks. But before we begin, how about everybody just introduce themselves one by one so that people know who you are and what your character is, a little bit about yourself if you like.
Okay. Well, I'm Cal Wolf 359. I'm an engineer. I was born on the Langstrom space station and studied engineering, maintenance engineering mostly. I can pretty much take the ship apart and put it back together, except for some of the parts that are beyond my maintenance class level.
I am Theophilus Brown, Doctor at Large. I take care of the crew and keep them in tip-top shape.
I am Pius Urbana. I am a maintenance technician, tall, very muscular gentleman. Couldn't knock it in pilot school or anything like that. Couldn't even get into it. So I just lug boxes around the space shuttle and move. They point, I'll move it.
How about our captain?
Hi, I'm Ford. I'm playing Captain Jim Elric, pilot of the ship. I've been piloting and captaining ships for the company for many years. If it flies on planets, on space, I can fly it.
And our co-pilot?
My name is Barry Landau. I am your co-pilot. I'm not here to make friends. This is my job. I do this, then I go home to my real life. That is all.
And I'm the odd man out, Franz Nestle, born on Earth, and I bear that distinction with some small pride.
All right. Thank you. You are, as I said, in your rooms. You're on the moon base that you call your home. It's not necessarily for all of you the home you choose to call your full-time home, but it's where you live most of the time. You do travel back to Earth to regain your sea legs, so to speak. Well, your non-sea legs, your Earth legs. You've been off for a week or so following a previous mission, and the ship that you work on nowadays, most of the time, the Faunus, the crew that you crew, has been taken into, well, dry dock is what you call it on Earth, and it's been refitted. That's all you were told. You're called up. You know that today was the day you're supposed to arrive. So it's not like nowadays where you're on the you prepare for weeks in advance. You really just show up for work, and you're called into what's known as the government office. As you arrive, there's a boardroom, standard boardroom that you've been in it before, and at this room there's a fellow up front. He's in full uniform. But he's not wearing his headgear. And he says, "Greetings, everyone. Haven't met you before. My name's Mark Dante. I just thought I'd give you a little briefing before your mission. It's a standard mission, same as you've done multiple times before. As you know, we've refitted the Faunus with some new engines, new drives, and big surprise. I mean, the pilots have trained for this. The rest of you have been told about it. This is a very fast drive, and it's been tested multiple times on unmanned vessels. You're going to be very happy with this. You're going to make the return trip to Mars and back to drop off some supplies at one of the station that you've been assigned within 15 days. So
15 days.
15 days. We've cut it back. The pilots can talk to the maneuverability of this drive. They've done some virtual training. Unlike previous ships, you do not have to flip, burn fuel like crazy to stop. You can actually reverse the engines without moving your ship. You can slow down fairly quickly. It's maneuverable, just like in oldie time movies. And it doesn't it doesn't use as much fuel. I mean, this is a boost to our profits and our ability to get materials and emergencies supplies to and from our outposts. Any questions?
I'm really surprised the corporation chose us.
We're the most experienced crew that we trust.
Am I going to be able to access the specs on this thing?
You have access to the panels and the computers and such. It's a sealed system. Unlike previous systems where you would actually physically go into the drive area, it's a sealed system. But there are cameras you can see within you can't go in there due to the it's not as dangerous as it might sound. Let's just say we don't want you in there right now, and we've got some robotic arms and such in there that can actually do the work for you.
All right.
It works. Trust me. We've sent out many unmanned missions using this drive.
Trust me, Cal, you're in for a treat here.
Yeah, well, I'm only concerned if something goes wrong, and if something goes wrong and I can't get it going wrong, then
Robots, Cal, robots. It looks like we're going to be getting pushed out of a job in the next 5 years.
yeah, Pius, you know as well as I do that there's things robots can't do.
And
I've got two questions.
Of course, go ahead.
My first question is, has the hull been reinforced? Because obviously if we're traveling faster, then if we encounter any debris, obviously it's going to have a much greater effect.
Good question. Absolutely accurate. Absolutely a good question. And you are accurate in your concerns. We've increased the shell thickness in areas of concern. So areas where any kind of penetration could damage sensitive components. We've added additional shielding. And if you look at your diagram that I've provided you of the ship, I mean, it looks like your ship is normal. There are some hard bulkhead areas that have been added to some specifically sensitive areas.
Question 1A. Are the crew regarded as sensitive components?
That was my next question. Yeah.
Always. You're the lifeblood of our, the organization. They need you. We need you.
And question 2, which is more of a less in character and more of a metagame question. Why does the deck of the spaceship in Tom's backdrop appear to have a wood-burning stove to the right of him?
I don't know what you're looking at.
I think that's the microphone stand.
Oh, this?
Was it? Oh, right. Sorry.
My microphone.
It's a space bong.
Now I have to cut this part out. 607.
There was a stove there.
Stoking the furnace.
I see. It is the microphone. No, right. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So the microphone and then a big black bit coming out the top of it. I thought.
It's a wood-fired spaceship. I didn't tell you that.
This is the Franklin stove drive that we're testing.
Well, it's very cold in space.
Well, and
Because
because of the current pollution levels on Earth, we all breathe carbon monoxide on a regular basis. So You can have wood burning stoves on our tiny little ship. All right, let's continue.
So my second question then is, what exactly is this engine? How does it work?
It's proprietary to Audi. I can't really.
That doesn't tell me how it works.
Yeah.
It is biological. This is what we've been told. If you can keep it amongst yourselves, as we've been told, it has something to do with, and this can't go any further than this room, the rapid destruction at the cellular level of a rapidly regenerating biological process. That's the way they sold it to us.
Well, now we're in the realm of Franz.
There's some ethics in here involved in this.
Biological shit.
He shuts the door and he says, the fuel is algae.
That's what I was thinking.
That's kind of what I was told, guys. I'm not a scientist. I'm an astronaut like you guys. It's algae.
Well, this is not unfamiliar. I've been hearing about stuff like this for well over 20 years.
Well, in case there's any problems, is there manuals for us to repair stuff so we're not stuck out there?
Well, as you know, we have between here and each of our outposts a series of flashpoint, quick connect discussion satellites, as you will. We can talk you through anything. We can send you anything. We don't have the delays we had in the old days, as you know. And if something goes wrong, we can talk you through it. This is a self-sufficient vessel. It's all
right. Because on the old continue.
Go ahead. Did they replace that old SAL unit? That AI was really tricky. It tried to go all HAL on us that one time.
Yeah, we've washed our hands of that. It's an anomaly that won't happen again.
All
Guaranteed.
Right. You remember, Pius? That was ridiculous. All right. So when do we get to see this damn ship?
Well, come with me, fellas. And he opens a side door, and you go into a bay, and you can see through the 6-inch plexiglass windows the ship you've known and loved. It has new pods, new nacelles, if you will, on the side of the ship. The 5 rings, the Audi symbol on the side, and it's black engines. You see someone pumping fluid of some sort because you can see the hose moving as they pump it into like the bottom part, which is a larger, like I guess you would say a fuel tank essentially. And you do also notice at the back end, see the way your ship is designed. If you see the diagram, the back end is where the cargo pods are loaded in, and you can see the pods are being lifted up and chunked into place. Yeah. He says that's some more information for you guys need to know. Is you're not just delivering supplies. It's literally going to take you 5 hours out of your way. You're going to deliver supplies as normal, but then you also have to airdrop from space 3 containers of this stuff, these pods, to the northern pole regions. It's a 6-hour delay. Mars, yes. It's a 6-hour delay. Self-contained pods. You're going to push the button. These things are going to pop out of the bottom of your ship. The pod bay will open, drop the actual pod. It will open. The three containers will drop, and they will project themselves down to the Mars, to the northern hemisphere. You're going to get a bonus of $2,000 each just to do this little extra bit of work.
That works for me.
Yep.
You can play stuff that I haven't done before.
It's like you're bombing Mars's North Pole, but it's not a bad thing.
Is there a community at the pole that's going to retrieve?
No, this is part of the terraforming efforts of the northern poles.
Yeah, I thought so. Probably more of your algae.
Who knows?
Trying to make
not a scientist.
Mars. All right, Pius, let's go get a look at the inside of this ship and see how they fucked it up on us.
Yeah, there's always got a little glitch with new tech whenever they put it in.
Well, it's not like we completely redesigned the inside. We'll see what that's all about.
Yeah,
Mark, is the algae where the fuel cells used to be?
The fuel cells contain a tank around the outside of the engine itself. And as you know, this fuel, and he says, please don't talk about it as algae, it's proprietary.
Oh.
This fuel is contained in the outside where it grows. It's fed into the engine. The engine breaks it down and creates energy from it.
Do we need to think about those tanks receiving light? I mean, they're growing on something. Are there panels? Do we need to keep them pointed at something?
It's a self-contained unit. That's all I know, he says.
What do they call on this drive?
The Audi ESA drive?
Yeah, mute.
Sorry, I muted myself. He says, well, the drive is the Audi ESA. The Audi ESA is the company that constructed your ship. Quantum PLC of London are the owners of the pods. They haven't really given the pods a name necessarily, but the drives themselves are just Audi new drives. Like he says, I can find you the name for it if you wish, but it's on the specifications inside the ship.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Come on, Pius.
All right.
So if you're all good, you guys can pack your gear, whatever you want to take. You know the rules.
Yeah.
How soon are we scheduled to depart?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Mm.
Want to do a once over, Wolf?
Yeah, I will see if we need to do it twice and a third over. I want to see what this is. I want to at least get the lay of this thing so that I know what to push and what not to push.
I'm with you there, Wolf. Let's have a look at this.
God
I'd like to
damn
get a
it.
good suss out on this thing before we take it out.
Yeah, I'm curious too. We also have to make sure we know what pods we're dropping where.
That's going to be easy.
Yeah,
It's
Getting
on the manifest.
problem.
That's probably all computer controlled. All right.
Largely.
So I don't actually see where we get into this ship. Is it above one of the engines? Is that where the door
It's
is?
the underside. Everything loads from the underside. The ship is above the ground. The fuel goes in. The pods are loaded from the underside of the back of the entrance. There's actually like an elevator-like thing that drops down.
Okay. So where does the elevator come up to? The front, the nose?
If you look at your map, you will see there's an area around the entertainment lounge workspace
Right.
that is parked. That is the area the elevator comes right up in the middle at the back end where the doorway is of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we step out of that door, and then the corridor goes to the right and left, and then there's a passageway up the middle of the ship. What are rooms A, B, C, D, and E? Are those our bedrooms?
Those are your quarters, yes.
Quarters. All right. I call dibs on the captain's quarters.
I was going to say, those are our quarters. You've got the nice big room up front.
Yeah. Just
Captain and co-pilot get their own room.
All right. Well, I'll take A.
All right.
Y'all can decide where you all are.
I'll take B.
So I'm going to spend 15 or 20 minutes just walking around looking at the systems and seeing so that I know where everything is, which probably just amounts to looking at the map that you sent us.
I'm doing the same with both engineers. I want to see what they're seeing, get a lay of how things are working. Even if I don't understand all the tech specs, I want to at least know what I'm working with.
And Sean, it is our ship. It was just updated, basically, correct?
That's correct. The only changes to the ship are the actual engines. The engine room is the same, but the pods are different. And those areas that are called hard bulkheads, those were added as well, which also connects to the area where the fuel is stored.
So can I assume then that we discovered that, as I say, everything is self-contained? We really don't have any kind of access to this drive other than through the computer.
Well, yes, through the computer, you can see there are cameras within the drive area you recognize. You recognize you would go in before and you would service
Oh,
components.
sure. Yeah.
So now you can see inside, and there are actually, as he described, arms, robotic arms that you can control with the computer with joysticks and such. They don't want any contamination. There's all kinds of warnings on the doors. Don't contaminate.
And there's access to like a manual or procedures. Okay.
Yep, electronic document on a tablet, 2 of them, 1 for each side of the ship in the engine areas.
Well, Pius, I think I'm going to go back to my quarters, get my stuff, come right back here, and then spend a couple of hours reading through these manuals.
Yeah, I think I'll do that with you too. But you know, if it's broken, we could fix it. So it's just.
Well, I hope so. Well, as long as we can make sure that the radio is working, then we can always call for help if something goes wrong. Because we're not like going to bump into a planet or anything. We're just gonna float around until somebody comes and gets us.
Yeah. Well, for my last 20 trips, if I didn't know it, you did, and vice versa. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, but that was on that ion drive. I mean, we know the ion drive like the back of our hand.
My hand. Oh, look at that. Oh,
Holy crap! I never noticed that before. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna go get my stuff.
Well, we do
Everybody
that
has
joke
time.
every trip.
Everybody has time to get whatever they want to take with them that's within reason. Of course, you know the rules of space flight. No weapons,
Right.
no explosives, no devices that start fires, and
No bags of Cheerios.
nothing that's going to be like fine particles throughout the air. There is a good filtration system, so it's not so much an issue as it was a century ago. But
Yeah, I remember back in the day when everybody would come out of the ships at the destination smelling like farts. That was bad.
everything clean.
All right. So that's what I'm going to do. So if we move ahead, I'm sorry, you're running the game.
Oh, it's fine. But yeah, we're going to move ahead. If anybody wants to bring anything odd, different, interesting, let me know, write it down, or otherwise I'll just assume you have normal spacefaring kit.
Yeah, other than maybe some pinups. Well, they probably did clean the place. So
Yeah, the engine room has been scrubbed of everything you kept in there. They're in boxes in the lounge.
yeah.
Would we be allowed to bring a book, or does the ban on paper still stand?
It's fine now. They have excellent fire suppression systems in the ships nowadays.
Okay.
Well, considering that our trips used to take months, so it's like
Yeah, but they forced us to use the computerized books. Remember the tablets?
Well, yeah. I mean, granted, Lando likes the old antique shit, but whatever.
What's wrong with the old antique shit?
I do like those vintage pinups you got from 2020.
Oh yeah,
Those we just printed out on the Mac
I
printer.
thought they were old.
No, all that paper got used up. Remember? All right, so I mean, I'm gonna redecorate my room a little bit, with some pictures and stuff on the wall. My gear. We're not supposed to bring alcohol.
Right. We're not supposed to, and we never do.
I only bring it for medicinal value.
Yeah, Doc, we gotta hope. Yeah, there might be some problems with this drive, and we might all get hurt. You better bring some extra medicine.
And I brought the WD-40 containers that I always bring.
So, do we call you Dr. Franz Nestle?
I'm not very formal about that sort of thing.
Do you have any idea why you're coming along, or are you just heading to Mars?
I get shuttled around under circumstances that are not always clear to me. Corporate stuff. Sometimes they want me to look at something and I don't know what it is until I've seen it.
Well, do you know anything about this biological
No, I'm going to spend a substantial part of the 6 hours, poring over the 3 legal nets to see if I can gather any information about how the hell an algae makes us go so fast.
Yeah, well, if I have any questions, because there are some things in these manuals that are like, what the hell is this talking about? Maybe you'll understand, maybe not. They might have just coded all the words.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to derive something theoretical about it, even if I can't determine what exactly is going on.
What the hell is a Dillo pump? I have no idea what the hell a Dillo pump is. So, okay.
They're a famous wealthy family from the east coast of America in the early 21st century.
The Dillo pumps?
Yeah. They used to holiday in...
Was that the girl with the big ass?
No.
The one that was on
that
TV that
was,
should never have been given a show? I can't remember that here.
No, that was... I can't remember. I think that was Rosa Parks. I'm not very good at history.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
Thank God the whole reality TV fad went out.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
Well, TV didn't survive the Dark Ages.
That was a bloody mess when it finished.
Mm.
What, 50,000 people were lost?
The Great Television Wars.
Well, it wasn't much of a war.
Well, my great grandfather, he fought on behalf of Channel 23. He was,
I heard about that.
Really?
Yeah, he lost an eye in the Blipfer offensive.
Oh my God.
You must be very proud.
Wow. Yeah. But it wasn't much of a war because the average intelligence of the people watching those shows was...
Technically, they were houseplants.
Yes.
The YouTubers actually did pretty well, though, because that wasn't technically television. That was creativity at its best.
Oh, was that thing they used to have with the computers and the videos? Yeah.
Well, yeah, people would actually do things. They play games.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's like I read about that in school. What they call it? The intranets or something?
No,
like,
intro was like...
Just didn't realize how bad it was for them.
Mm.
Well, it did cause all the social wars that followed because the social... Anyways, let's get this damn ship off the ground.
Imagine buying something like that that made your brain come out through your ears. Jesus.
No doubt.
All right, friends. You're looking through things. So the primary focus of what you want to look at before you leave, you're talking about the drives. Is that what you're most interested in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't even have to roll for it because it's actually quite readily available. It's just a lot of research that has gone into taking something that was hypothetical years ago. They could take something that could continuously regenerate itself, break it down at the cellular and atomic level and produce energy from it. So instead of a uranium, for example, this was the original hypothesis, instead of a uranium type material that broke down over time, you used the heat and energy from the breakdown or facilitated more of a breakdown. This is a separate situation where you were taking things that were alive, algae, for example, and using a form of fusion to break that down, creating energy from the destructive nature of the fission rather, and at the same time, more of it would be growing. So it's like a continuous regenerating fuel source.
It's an SSES, a self-sustaining energy source. Okay.
Essentially.
Yeah. They just found a way to make it more efficient.
Mm-hmm. They found
the
a way
reason it's faster is because we could just use more fuel to push things faster because we're not going to run out of it.
That's right.
But since energy can either be created or destroyed, the self-sustaining nature of this, is it coming from someplace other than our normal three-dimensional space? Where does the input?
There's fuel added to the ship, remember. This is what they pump fuel in. So they're pumping in nutrients, algae.
Maybe some sort of super growth hormone that's making it grow faster than normal and replace the fuel that it's using.
There's a ton of patents out there that you see that don't explain the process. But you know that it's patent after a while, and no description. It's all confidential, corporate confidentiality.
You know, I
You
think
don't-
Audi used to make cars.
Very good one.
Ground cars.
Yeah, when they were using something like petrol to make it go.
Petrol.
Yeah, petrol. Not the cheese, but
Like
the
what?
actual
Petron.
They
stuff
used to.
made out of
They,
olive
I
oil.
mean, there used to be a bird called a petrel as well. Well, I mean, there used to be birds,
Well, yeah,
animals that like flew in the air like planes.
Until the Great Bird Wars.
I think that's a myth.
No, it's true. I mean, they it's like I've seen the remains.
Yeah, they
found
go with those
tiny,
dinosaur
tiny,
remains too, which was a
tiny
bunch of
hollow
nonsense.
bones they had.
Ah.
And
Hollow
some people
bones.
even
They're trying to
believe
resurrect
that
them.
they may have had like things like sort of these fibrous growths that came out of them, that they weren't just skin.
We learned about that when they told us about something called bees too, like this little thing that would fly to flowers and stuff. I
That
think that's just
made some sort of magical nectar that everybody used to sweeten their tea. What a bunch of nonsense that all is. All right, let's get this. Let's get
Mythical mead.
fired up and get going. Is it this
All
big
right.
red button here? Does that start the?
You don't start the ship. You are not in control until you are outside of the gravity well.
I see.
You don't get to go in the cockpit.
That's true.
We have
There's an area at the front of the ship where the pilot and co-pilot sit that isn't shown on the map, that is slightly separate from where the rest of you sit in that little triangle
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, you need to have a formal education to sit in that section of the ship.
So
I
Pius,
had 12 years of shop class.
Tradition.
so Pius, as soon as we get the chance, I got that new video game. They say it's the best Call of Cthulhu version that they've ever done. It's way better than all the crap that came beforehand.
Nice. I can't wait. I read about it on the infosphere, but
Yeah, I got it. I got it last night.
oh, nice. I thought it wasn't coming out till next month.
I got connections.
You're the man.
Is it going to be multiplayer like they were talking about? You know, be
You're
able to
going to be busy. You're going to be busy making the ship go.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
when we're done.
Yeah, it's multiplayer.
Good. They've been talking about that for years.
Yeah. Go fly the ship.
All right. You've got your
Fine,
thing.
fine.
You're on the ship. You're being pushed to get on board, because there's a little bit of time before you go, where you have to be on the ship. The one thing that is mentioned to you as you are preparing to go is, look, just so you know, these pods. If you take a look at the map right now, you'll see that they're actually in pod 1 to 2 are the supplies for Mars Station. 3 are the pods that you will be dropping from space into the northern hemisphere of Mars. And 5 and 6, those are the ones that are repurposed as sleeping quarters for the passengers you'll pick up at the space station. So that's all. The other pod bays, there's no pods that have been added into them, and that's standard practice. You just only load what you need to carry. Okay, so you guys are on the ship. The engines start up early. They're exceedingly quiet. You're used to the ship vibrating a bit. It's more of a whoosh when they start, and the engines, and they just hum. It's just
I don't
humming.
like that at all. Does that just feel wrong to you?
Slightly. Oh, technology.
You remember that weird vibro noise with that beeping, that irritating beep? I missed that.
Yeah, well, that's when we used to crank our music and just sit back, and now we got to sit up there with the rest of the crew. I like laying in my bed while we take off.
Yeah, counting the beeps. All right, well.
All right. You're in your flight suits. You have to put your helmets on. It's an old rule from back in the old days, even though, if your ship blows up, you're dead. But you still have to put the flight suits on, or in the helmet. Your ship angles upwards. The whole platform you're on angles upwards, and off you go quietly into space and up into the air, into the outside of the very extremely thin atmosphere on the moon. And you see through the viewports and through the cameras that are attached to your computers, you can see the base moving away behind you. You head towards Earth, you loop around Earth, and then the pilots actually begin to take control, more control. You loop around Mars one more time, or not Mars, the moon rather, and boom, course is set and you are off. So you're heading off into space, and then after about an hour, the light goes on, ding. You have the ability to change out of your suits into something more comfortable because you got a couple weeks.
Oh, thank God. Holy crap, they didn't put any restrooms on this ship.
All right. Mr. Landau, want to get changed?
I suppose so.
All right. I'll take control here until you're done.
Okay, I will head off and go and put on my coarse dark blue jumpsuit with a patch on the shoulder that says Moon Base Gamma. It probably says Gamma Moon Base, actually.
Likely.
It's triangular. Or possibly a trapezoid.
Does the acceleration feel different to us yet from what a normal trip is like?
Yes, it's extremely smooth. It's extremely fast. You feel yourself pushed back in your chair more than you're used to. Not that it's what's the difference between umpteen this and umpteen that plus 25%, but you're going much faster than usual. The pilots, obviously, you're going to play around with the controls a bit, and it's easy enough to set your course back. You find you are very maneuverable. In the old days, you had little cold jet thrusters that would push you side to side as you were going. It's all you can see the actual engines at the back of the engines. The control, the actual vanes move, so you don't have those cold jets for control as much. It's just like something out of the movies from 100 years ago.
In the control center, are those little squares meant to represent seats?
Yes, they are. Sorry.
Okay, so we're all in the control center.
Except the co-pilot and pilot are up front, and there's a barrier between them and you. It's just glass. It's plexiglass.
I'm in the entertainment center.
You know that new thing that they keep talking about, the new piloting techniques, reminds me of that antique movie, the Star Trek Wars or Trek Space Wars, where they would fly around the ships.
You talking about Star Wars?
Is that the one with the space
That's
hairdresser
it.
and his best friend's a dustbin?
No, I think that was no.
Yeah, he's talking about
The
Star
guy
Wars.
who's his dad's a robot and he shags his sister. That one.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
I
We've
think
got a nerd alert. We've got a nerd alert.
that was they had that Sasquatch, that big Sasquatch walking around with him.
People
you
in
need to
the
rewatch
past
those movies.
were
They're classics,
weird.
and stop at a certain point because Disney destroyed that whole thing.
They're not in 3D. They're not in holographic. They're just movies. I mean, who can get into that?
Yeah, it's a bit passive, isn't it?
Like I like.
Yeah, it's like watching an old video. I mean, there's older one. It's kind of a swashbuckler sort of thing.
It's just really flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not immersive.
You can't. There's no smell-o-vision. There's no. You can't
If
smell.
if you watch it on a holographic projector, it's just like it's just at the back.
When they remastered it, they didn't put in the 3D effect. They didn't put the scents and smells in. I want to know what that Sasquatch smells like.
Probably like ass. Lots of sweaty ass.
Yeah, because
The guy who directed it, for some reason, he always used to wear like this great big scarf made of bacon wherever he went.
No, I think that was the other guy there, Mr. Landau.
that was back in the 2020s, right?
Yeah.
No, it was in the 1900s they made that.
Yeah, like 1920 something or other.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bacon's.
I don't think it's that old. I don't think it's that old.
1927.
We could test our onboard computer and ask it the question, but you know how the computer drones on and on about things like that.
Yeah, and then
Computer, did you say computer? Hi, guys.
Yeah, when was Star Wars?
1977.
Oh, see, it's not the 20s. So 20s, 70s, same thing.
Computer, what is our current speed relative to point of origin?
I can't give you that information at this point in time,
That's curious.
but you're on track to being on time for your arrival.
Very well. I'd like to look at external monitors. I'm curious about any redshift that's happening that will tell me if this is the fastest I've ever gone, I think. I'm curious about what things look like out there in the starfield.
You see a video, not a video, you see a feed comes on your computer, shows you the stars don't look like they're moving, of course. You don't see any anomalies, anything redshift, nothing that is, nothing that is inferring that you are traveling faster than 3 times faster than the fastest ship you've been on.
All right. After all, anything I'm looking at is a lot farther away than the difference in my speed. So,
How many G's are we pulling?
Oddly, it doesn't feel any different than when you normally fly.
So we're not pushed back in our seats.
No, we're slowly accelerating, I'm sure.
Yeah, you are slowly accelerating. When you took off, you felt more G's, but it's not like you're.
I'm asking because Cal said he was going to the entertainment center. All of the chairs for launch seem to be in the front. So do we need to scrape him off the back wall?
No. Once you're whipping around Earth and then the moon, and you're slingshotted out towards Mars, you're up and walking. You've got magnetic boots.
Oh, okay, so we have means of transportation.
You have moons. There's railings along the hallways. There's railings on the ceiling in case you lose your touch with the floor and you're flying. It's well designed for moving yourself around the ship while you're in flight.
I'm going to let everybody get comfortable, and then after that, I'll hand over control to Barry while I get out of my suit.
Easy enough.
Thank you.
Mr. Nestle, you did receive a notification. A little video has come, and it says, "For entertainment purposes, you feel free to show to the rest of the crew."
Where's it from?
It's from the home office of the Quan Kenyon Corporation.
What? Hey, crew. It looks like we've got something that might tell us a little bit of what's going on from home base. Do you have a few?
Yeah.
Let's screen it.
Sure.
All right. It pops up and it's got the usual like Quan Kenyon Corporation, and it shows like in conjunction with Quantum PLC of London. You see a picture of these the pods, essentially the things you've been told about. These things you're dropping onto North Pole, and it shows you a video of what's going to happen. So these pods will be dropped onto the North Pole, into the polar region where there's ice and snow. It shows them, heating up, going through the atmosphere, parachute opening up, and then the parachute being dropped off, and some retrojets slowing it down before it reaches the ground. They're going to embed them. So the retrojets will shut off at 100 feet, or 100 meters rather. The objects will embed themselves into the snow, and then it shows a cutaway view of the snow. And there's someone talking throughout the whole time, explaining the importance of terraforming Mars, because the population on Earth, they need more space and all that. And so far, there's only 2 million people living on Mars, and they want to triple that. and quadruple that and go turn it into a full planet full of people. And then all the time that they're talking, they show the video where the things open up. And when they open up, you see this pod just crack open, and this black liquid comes out of the pods and spreads throughout this ice-filled sand, ice-filled soil of Mars, and it eats the water, and it produces oxygen, and plants start growing. It's essentially just a promotional video to show how they're going to do this wonderful thing and terraform Mars by dropping these pods. And you are the first ones to do this, because it's brand new technology they're trying out. And it says, thank you very much, Qualcomm PLC.
Well, once again, Star Trek predicts the future. Remember, there was that whole thing about Project Genesis where they terraform planets by dropping bombs on them. That how many is that? Like 4,000 things that Star Trek got right so far?
I don't know. I never got into any of that sci-fi fantasy stuff.
So the black stuff that spilled out of the pods, it looked organic?
It did look organic, yes.
And it seemed to be consuming the water and then growing because of it?
It seemed to be consuming the water, off-gassing happy little blue circles of oxygen. That was all animation. And then plants would grow above the soil level, and they would be drawing in the carbon dioxide, producing more oxygen. It showed like the circle of,
yeah,
I can't remember biology.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I was in school.
I wonder what then happens to the black goo.
Well, the animation showed the black goo disappearing into the soil.
Mm.
I see. You know, Doc, I think it's our physicist, Doc. Franz. May I call you Franz?
Please.
I saw an old holo about this long time ago, though, and they were just talking about dropping algae bombs, which would grow and produce oxygen. So maybe that's all that we're talking about here is algae bombs.
Yeah, maybe they've got some, genetically rejiggered, super fast process.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the same stuff that's in our engines.
Well, it seems like it would not be just a coincidence. Of course, this stuff, doesn't seem, if it's self-generating, you wouldn't want to drop that on a populated rock.
Well, if it's just plants, it's just plants.
And if they disappear into the soil, maybe they just keep going down until they are not relevant. I'm sure the corporation knows exactly what they're doing. And as I say that, I look at the various recording devices that are in the cabin.
I'm going to go into the mess hall and get one of those other wonders of algae, some Soylent Green, and eat it.
Ooh.
Mm.
I'm snackish.
People-y.
Here, everybody have some Soylent Green. That's what we call it. It's not really people. It's algae.
Everything's algae.
Well, it solved the world hunger problem for sure.
People pemmican.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago. That's what they did with all the politicians. Good old people pemmican. So who wants to play this game? This ship just flies itself, right, guys?
It does, essentially.
The ship always flies itself.
It's true. And we help it.
I'm just waiting for one of you to get sick.
The joke, Doc, is that nobody's been sick in the last 15 years anywhere.
Oh, Cal, I didn't show you, and I pulled my shirt down, and I got the Audi 5 circle tattoo on my chest. I got
Dude.
that. Yup.
I consider that a betrayal of trust.
Well, we talked about it last time when we were sipping on the WD-40. I thought you didn't do it.
Speaking of which, what Doc Brown, what did you bring with you? Did you bring any WD-40?
No, I brought bourbon,
Which kind?
the medicinal kind.
Yeah,
Good
but
for colds.
did you bring any Angel's Envy? That's delicious.
I brought Caesarean panther sweat.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. I'm really curious about this drive. I wonder if we can. I'm gonna go look at the monitors that allow us to look into the drive area and see what I can see.
I am not the least bit interested in the drive. As long as it works, not my department.
Well, I mean, that's just what my natural interest is. You want to come?
Yeah, I'll come in.
How about you, Dr. Franz? Are you interested at all in the?
I'm curious to see what there is to see. Absolutely.
Yeah, I doubt there's anything they don't want us to see, but we'll see. See what we can find. So when I get to that, when I get into the, let's say, engineering room 1, is there any access that I can find to get a look at this stuff? You're
You're
muted.
muted.
The door that normally gave you access to the area is sealed in that it's usually a door you push a button and it slides open. It's
It
like
goes
welded
psh.
shut.
But we
It's-
can get into engineer room 1, just not into engine, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
The engine area, you formally could go in and actually access the engine, because when you're going through space, you can turn it off if you want to, because you're not
Right.
constantly accelerating.
So the little triangular room, we can get into engineering room 1.
That's right.
We
Yes,
can't go past that.
that's right. But there's lots of monitors, and there actually is a porthole in the door, so you can look in and see the engine humming away.
Can we see anything other than just metal and piping?
Completely different setup than what you're used to seeing. You don't see any moving parts. You don't see anything except pipes and a big tube down the middle. And you see it does have shielding on the porthole now, in that it's not clear glass any longer. It actually has like a polarized filter on it, and it says warning UV light on the inside, though you can't get in there.
Well, this is very anticlimactic. I wanted to see something crawling around there, bubbling, or they could have put clear tubes so that we could see the green goo going.
Oh, there's clear tubes.
Oh, there are. Okay.
There are some clear tubes. When you look closely, they're very small. You see water going in. In another tube, you see some bluey green substance going in, the occasional air bubble in it. You do see a few little valves here and there venting steam, you assume. And then there's another air filter type thing up top that you can see there's some kind of, it's drawing that steam back into the system, so it's not losing anything.
That's the most crazy looking thing I've ever seen.
Well, I am feeling a little bit sick, so I am going to self-medicate. As a doctor, I write myself a prescription.
For WD-40 or bourbon?
Bourbon.
Oh, I'm not feeling well either. Can I have some of that medicine, Doc?
Sure. We don't want to get the space crud getting around.
I brought my non-degradable plastic cup, not made from polymers.
You said earlier that we could watch the engines and see the difference in the way they behaved. Is there a visible emission? Like, is it a blue light? Does anything, what is the appearance of thrust?
You don't see flames. You don't see what you're used to, which is a very tight, very fine blue emission. It's like pure white. Very small, pure white, like a focused, not a flame so much as like a cone.
Mm-hmm. Most curious.
It does shimmer though, like occasionally it goes from white to yellow, yellow to blue, but that maintains a white cone most of the time.
Cool. I guess we just sit back and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, apparently we're going to have something interesting to look at toward the end of the trip. We're going to be passing near a comet on our way in.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have an exact ETA, but I just got word about that.
Oh, that's cool.
That might provide us sort of a climactic.
Do you have a name for this comet?
I don't think they said.
Okay.
Unnamed.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's seen it up close yet.
Cool. Maybe we can name it after the Faunus.
It'd be nice to have a permanent or semi-permanent monument to the old ship.
Oh.
All right. Well, to move things forward, as Tom likes to say. Or is that what you say, Tom? Usually you say something else.
Yeah, no, you can do that.
Close enough. We'll move things forward a bit. Your day's just standard. You start off when you're on your flights. You talk to the people you usually talk to. You hang out. Some of you go silent. As time goes on, you start to withdraw and you start just doing your job and sleeping a lot and waking up for your shifts and such. 3 days in, whoever's been sleeping and their sleep cycle wakes up. Wow, it's hot. Or sorry, cold, chilly. And nobody was really paying attention because it took over time. You do notice that it's getting chilly, so you're all getting together for breakfast or lunch, depending on what shift you're on. And you all, one by one, just start, yeah, I'm cold too. It's getting kind of cold. What the heck? Check the environmental.
Computer, what's the current temperature?
The current temperature is 19 degrees Celsius. Oh, that's kind of low, isn't it? Would you like me to bump up the temperature?
Yeah. I can bump it all the way up to Fahrenheit. Sorry.
It's 20. Nobody uses Fahrenheit. That's my future. Computer says, oh, I think I've identified an issue. It's not a major issue, guys. It looks like those pod things, they've been drawn. The heat requirements to keep those at the temperatures that their systems are requiring is actually caused us to divert some heat. I'll just redistribute heat and just draw a little more from the engines.
Thanks, computer.
Well, I've got just the thing to warm you up.
Computer,
Yes.
can you clarify the nature of the pods and the heat and why energy's been diverted to their environmental situation as opposed to ours?
The pod itself, the actual storage pod that they are in, probably should find a new word for that instead of pod. Computers laugh a lot of dumb jokes. The pod that the pods are in has a self-programming that over time, as it approaches the destination, it is going to slowly increase the temperature. I was unaware of this at the time. It seems the programming was uploaded to us last night.
Computer, do you have any records available to you about any of the unmanned flights that this drive was used on?
Oh, give me a second. Yes, I have lots of them. What would you like to see?
I'm curious about temperature anomalies that might have happened on the unmanned flights that wouldn't be noticed.
Would you like to watch videos, or would you just like the data?
Data's fine, thank you.
Up pops an Excel spreadsheet, well, whatever is used in 2080. It shows you that the internal temperature of the ships maintained constant temperature throughout all flights, except for two, flights 117B and 117F. And they actually, the temperature, over the period of the flight, towards the end of the flight, the temperature, drastic spike in temperature, and there's a little asterisk at the bottom that says ship exploded.
Ship exploded.
Well, the computer goes, that appears to be, that's why the there's drastic increase in temperature, it's because the ship exploded.
So those were fairly long numbers of unmanned flight. So what percentage of unmanned flights using this drive exploded?
5%.
Were those tests at the very beginning, or were they scattered throughout?
Most of the beginning, it appears that of the 5%, 75% were in the first 25%, and the remainder in the last 25%.
So this super safe technology that we've been given, gentlemen, occasionally blows up.
Not surprised.
I'm going to look at the data more closely and see if I can recognize any patterns that would indicate something.
Computer, how's failure rate in comparison to our old ion drive?
How does it what? Sorry?
How does the failure rate on the new drive match to our ion drive? If you say it's a 5% catastrophic failure rate, how does it match to our old ion drive?
The old ion drive had a much higher catastrophe rate, as you call it, during its initial experimental stages, but it has a much better, there haven't been any commercial explosions of ion drives in the last 25 years.
Yeah, but according to the Monton survey, the ion drive disasters were all caused because it ceased to function and the ships were just lost. They didn't blow up. This you're saying some of these ships blew up. I don't like that at all.
If you want to look at the data more, you can. Do you want to do, well, data roll? You don't have any roll for it that would be analyzing data. But if you want to just do a knowledge roll, I can tell you how long it'll take you to analyze the data.
Now, is there a way to eject the engines in case of catastrophe?
Are you asking the computer?
Yeah. Well, I'm Wolf and the computer. Cal, just talking technical.
I don't know.
specs.
Apparently they've welded the doors closed, so we don't know if there's an ejection system or not. Computer, is there an ejection system?
All nacelles have the ability to be removed from the ship during when there's a situation that you need to do so. However, you would need permission from the guys back at the home office. So
Right.
Sean, I got a hard but not extreme success.
Okay, you're able to read through the data very quickly just looking at it. It's very well organized, and you can see that most of the explosions, the 5% that exploded, were during phases when people were really trying to push it to its limits. They were actually amping up the speed. They were trying to do some extremely tight maneuverability around objects in space. It wasn't that the engines just exploded out of the blue. They were actually being really hard driven.
Oh, so it was part of the experimental phase.
Right. So yeah, everybody, general calm. I think that the alarming information that we received is not a real concern. I think that we're running on spec that should be well within acceptable risk. Computer, I'd like to ask though, if you're already heating up the pods on programming that just came in advance of them being dropped, how warm are they going to need to be before we jettison them on Mars?
Let me look at the programming.
Thank you.
It looks at the programming quickly, comes back and says, actually, it says it's a continuous increase in temperature to the pods until they reach a temperature of 37.5 degrees Celsius by the time we reach Mars proper.
That's body temperature.
Yeah, that's human body temperature. That's icky.
Hey, Cap.
But that shouldn't interfere with our temperature any further, correct? You're on it now?
That's correct.
Computer?
We're on it now.
So the pods are self-contained, even with the increase in temperature at this time.
Yes,
Yeah.
Do you want to see a video?
Yes, I do.
Up on the screen pops a video of the pods in the bag. You see 3 circular, they look almost like bombs without the fins. old-fashioned bombs without the fins. And they're quite tall. They're about 6 feet tall each, about 4 feet wide. And they're black and shiny, but you can see seams where there's openings that will open. Parachutes will come out. Thrusters will pop out to slow the progress, as you've seen in the video. And they're standing on circular objects within circular objects. You assume those are something that will help guide it through when they're dropped, just they go down towards the ground. Nothing ominous about them apart from the fact that they're flat black.
I don't know. I think we're overthinking. This is just a standard mission.
I just want to deliver this stuff and then get back home and get my commission. As long
I'm
as
with
we
you
all
there,
get a
Cal.
commission. This is just another routine drop something and get home. And we'll be home within a month, which is awesome.
With an extra $2,000 each, which is also awesome.
Yeah. Considering that $1,000 nowadays is worth a whole hell of a lot more than it was in 2020.
It's a month's wages. It's quite a bonus.
Those are Mexican-Canadian dollars, right? They're not that old-fashioned United States currency any longer.
You know, the old stuff that was based on nothing.
Yeah.
I thought they were intercorporate units.
Oh, that's right. They're euro. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Euro dollars.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
thankfully, money's been a lot more stable since we shifted to the cocaine standard.
Hey, anybody remember the dollar pound and the fiasco with that?
They switched to the Amero after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that all ended with the Mexican-American nuclear war.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I remember reading about the pound. Can you believe that Britain used to be inhabited?
Well, yeah.
I've seen the videos. It looked like a
Why
nice...
would anyone want to live there? It's just...
Well, it's a prison island, isn't it now?
It is now, but
It's
I mean
all rainy and cold.
the original inhabitants, they were part of the European Union, but then they left and end up sort of eating each other or something.
What was that thing? What was it called? Biscuit or Blixen or? It was similar to that fiasco with that gigantic wall.
Yeah, yeah. It was like they decided like for some basically like it was to do with the internet. Like they got infected with conspiracy theories. They left the European Union and then they ate each other.
Well, Carpathian. That was the name
pretty
of that
much
girl
it.
with the big butt.
I mean, there's Scotland, but
There you go.
they detached that from the British Isles. Like, what was that? 70 years ago. So I mean, that's up near Norway now. But that used to be part of the British Isles.
That was around the time they made the wall, and then the wall became a cage, and finally they just encapsulated North America into.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. When the Canadians and the Mexicans built that wall to keep the other ones in. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they sound like dangerous people.
I think they called that a pod too.
Yeah.
History's weird.
You're on mute. Sean, you're muted.
I'm glad that we've all progressed since then.
So trying to push you on a little bit. Okay. Day 6, 3 days on, no changes in temperature. Cal, Pius, Barry, Nestle, or Franz rather, Dr. Nestle. Y'all go for breakfast one morning because you're on the shifts, so and you all look like hell. You're tired. You don't look like you slept well.
Y'all, it must be a Southern computer.
Oh, sorry. One by one, it comes about that you had a crappy sleep because you had nightmares. You all had nightmares, like little, like voices. You kept hearing voices in your heads, and it just waking you up. Space sickness came about in your conversations, but you don't really know what it is. It's just, like it's funny that you all had the same problem at once.
Yeah. I haven't had nightmares like this since like, 20 years ago on those risky flights.
Well, I've been married 4 times. Nightmares are nothing.
How are you supplied with sedatives, Dr. Brown?
Oh, I'm assuming I've got a full range of things. Even though there's no medical bay in here, I'm assuming that my room is like packed full of whatever antibiotics. Definitely, there's going to have to be sedatives. That kind of thing. I wouldn't suggest we do major surgery here, but I mean, I should be able to handle anything up to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a minor stimulant now, and at the end of my shift, something that might smooth this out. Do you remember anything of your dreams, guys?
Yeah.
Mine were pretty abstract feeling, but I kept starting awake, and then it was not easy to fall asleep again.
Did you have red flashes? There were red flashes, I recall.
I don't know if I saw color, but there was static. There was something, flashy.
Well, I'm not positive here, but it might not hurt for us to do a little physical on everybody, make sure we're not transferring the space crud around or something.
Yeah. Also, computer, is there any, do you have any data about a correlation between sleep disturbance and acceleration? Subjects.
Well, we have lots of information on what used to be called space sickness, gravity sickness, effects on the human body, but all of you are extremely experienced pilots and engineers and ship's workers. I can't imagine that it's something that would affect you now. Even you, Dr. Nestle, have been on many ships.
Computer, the lateral sensors, do you sense any kind of radiation?
Let me look. No, nothing out of the ordinary.
Computer, could it have something to do with the new UV lights? I mean, they're supposed to be only on the engine, but
We're protected. Yeah, we should be protected.
Well, would you like me to do a scan of the entire ship?
yes, please.
Please. Wouldn't we all have sunburns if the UV light was getting to us?
Might take days.
I'd like to run a diagnostic.
I love running diagnostics. What would you like to diagnose?
I would like a sit rep on the propulsion system and the life support systems and any fluctuations thereof, please.
Interesting information. I see no change in the level of propulsion from the time we have left. I see no modifications to the life support system's longevity or effectiveness.
Give me a readout on the internal temperature for the last 24 hours.
I've been maintaining it at a constant temperature. I've maintained.
How often have you had to correct the internal temperature in the last 24 hours?
We did have another correction on the temperature within the sample pods. Not sample pod, the pods. And because of that, I had to modify and redistribute heat, but that was 6 hours ago.
Are the pods using any power from the ship?
Yes, they are connected to ship's power.
I see. And has there been any fluctuation in levels of power they're consuming?
No. Nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary.
Has there been any changes in atmospheric pressure inside the ship or oxygen levels or nitrogen levels for that matter?
No, none of that. However, I will note that there has been an increase in humidity.
Now,
Increase in humidity.
are we sharing the same? Can you seal the air, the pod doors, the bay doors, so we're not recycling the same air that is in the pod bay, but the bays.
The pod bay, let me look. Thank you
Find
very
out.
much for pointing that out. There is a leak.
Hmm.
It has been sealed.
Get on that.
Cal, why don't we just do some maintenance over there and check?
Yeah.
I think possibly as a precaution, if there is some sort of contamination of the air, it might not be a bad idea if everyone's suited up again.
I think that's very reasonable. Computer, could you also do a spectrographic analysis of what we're breathing right now to see if there's any contamination other than humidity?
Yeah.
I see only humidity increases.
And it's just
Interesting. There's a biological component to the humidity.
Mm-mm.
What kind of
Identify
biological component?
Pardon? You're both speaking at once.
Identify biological component.
Organics, carbon, off-gassing of organics.
Cal,
No bacteria.
Cal, do you think we can kick the air scrubbers into overdrive and
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I
vent
was
out
thinking.
the passenger compartments?
Yeah. What percentage is are the air scrubbers working right now?
They're functioning at 100%. If you suit up, I can vent the entire ship if you like and refill.
Where would can we reroute it so it doesn't fill from any of the cargo bays, or
Oh yes.
can we actually completely vent out the cargo bays and seal them, at least from the vents, so that air will no longer mix with the the area for the humans?
This is outside of talking to the computer. What you know is that the actual cargo bay where these individual storage pods and such are loaded is supposed to be separate from your air.
Right.
Okay.
Well, let's do.
I think you two need to go down there and find out exactly why there's been a leak.
Yes, and let's do a reverse pressure purge of the existing oxygen and replenish with.
Well,
this
Cal, do you think we should investigate it first, just in case if we purge everything and then they refill it, it might vent it even stronger to us until we find out where the actual leak is?
Well, let's go check for a leak.
Yeah, before I would do that, I would like to do that before we vented it all out. A little bit of contaminant.
Suit up anyway.
I'm sorry.
I think we should all suit up in the process.
Yes.
I agree.
And computer, you said that the leak had been contained now or stopped. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It was a line that had gone through into the cargo bay that was newly installed, a water line. It appears it wasn't properly sealed around the line as it passed through the wall. I have foam sealed that.
Do you know how long the leak was active before you foam sealed it?
Let me look at video logs. It appears that it broke last night.
Let's come on, Pius. Let's go check.
Yeah,
we're gonna check it.
I still want to get a hands-on on this. I don't want to, double, triple check everything, even though the computer said it's all right.
So
I would.
Oh, go ahead.
I would like to try a couple of skills here. First of all, I want to see if I can isolate the biological component and see if it's per se like a fungus. And then after that, I want to use pharmacy to determine what broadband spectrum antibiotic would be best to pump the crew full of.
Okay. That's something you can do on the ship. You can actually culture, but it will take a few hours to do the culture. So you can take an air sample, put it across some plates just like there's nothing newer, and let it grow, and then you can identify the growth, and then you can identify. So yes, you can do it. It'll take you about 6 hours though.
Okay, let's do it then.
Okay.
I can roll if you need me to roll.
Yes, please do.
Computer.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Computer, the origin of the water line, is that connected to our cargo or to our engines in any way?
Yes.
Both?
Both.
I assume that the biology roll comes first, and so I rolled a 40 out of 60.
Okay. Easy enough.
Computer, could you run a scan on the contents of the water storage tank, please?
Yes, of course. What would you like to know?
I want to know if it's been contaminated in any way.
I have ultraviolet light cleansing and filtration systems in place. They're working optimally, and I see nothing in our testing to date to show any issues. I tested last 2 hours ago.
Could you
Our
run
water
a
tank should be
test
separate
now?
from the other.
The supply tank is the supply tank. It's actually quite large. It's larger than it used to be. You will note when you look at the map, and the water actually does split off, and the water in it. It's a one-way valve system supplying water to the engines.
Okay.
Dr. Brown, while you're waiting for your culture to develop, I wonder if you think it would be useful to take a blood test from any of us who had symptoms.
Yeah, well, I'm doing I already said that I'm doing like basic first aid on everybody to
Right.
get cultures, blood cultures, various chemical histamine levels, because the histamine levels I think is probably more important than the blood culture, but we'll see what comes out of it. It's going to take some time though.
Great, thanks.
Okay. So while that's happening, so who is going to look at the system? It is the engineers, yes.
Yeah, both of us.
All right. Well, you suit up, you head down to the cargo area. There are a series of doors, as I remember the map again.
Yes.
Cargo pods 1, 5, 6, and 2 have their own doors. There's actually a door in between 5 and 6. It's not on the map there. It allows you access to 3 and 4.
Okay.
All right, the cargo is actually, that door to the cargo bay is actually locked and sealed. You can open it and enter the cargo bay if you wish. There's it's negative pressure, but you're suited up.
Now, when I look at these square sort of rooms, do I understand that you would step into that room and then there would be the pod in the middle?
Each of those squares, the ones that are numbered 1 through 6, each of those are cargo
Rooms.
rooms. They've been loaded onto the ship. They're removable. So each of those, yeah.
And the stuff that we're going to drop is in 3 and 4, did you say?
Let me go back and look at the list here. 1 to 2 is supplies for the Mars station. 3 are the pods that are being dropped onto the North Pole of Mars. And 5 and 6 have been repurposed as actually rooms for the passengers for the flight back.
Right. And how about 4?
Job.
Apparently, the floor is empty. That you've just noticed something it doesn't make sense to you.
Yeah. Why is 4 empty?
It's not on the manifest as being in place.
But it is in place?
It is there.
One
Are
of
you
these
guys on
things-
comm?
Sure.
So you say we've got a potentially 1 pod extra.
Yeah, it's possibly just incompetence at the dock. Back
Do we
on
have cameras inside pods? We do,
Yes,
and it screens as empty.
it's empty. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And well, it's just an empty pod.
Go inside it and make sure it's empty.
Well, I can open the door and just look inside. There's nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Open the door, look inside. Don't base it on the camera. Look.
Why?
Because there could be bacteria, mold growing on the inside of the container.
Then why would I want to open the door?
Because we have to see it and the camera's not going to pick it up.
What if there's a hungry ghost pirate living in there?
What about since it's not on the manifest, we're not carrying it, we don't want it, why don't we just drop it right here and let it float away into the void?
Well, they're
Each
expensive.
pod has a window, so just so you know, they actually have a plexiglass window so you can see inside.
Well, I'll look inside.
It's empty.
Yeah, it's empty. I don't see any dirt or growth. They clean these pretty well, you know.
Computer.
While I'm there, I'm gonna look in 3 also through the window.
Yes.
Computer, can you just run an analysis on pod 4? Tell me the contents.
It's empty.
Just making sure. Thank you, computer.
When you say empty, do you mean there's a vacuum inside, or it shares the same air density of the rest of the storage bay?
Same as the rest of the storage bay.
It's just another room. One that can be taken out of the ship.
It is the property of the Quan Canyon Corporation.
Yeah.
As an aside, I like the idea that we're putting human passengers in pods that can be detached at will.
That's if they're really annoying.
It's common practice that you could, because they are connected to the rest of the ship through the doorways, but it is common practice to create rooms because you could actually transfer and have transferred people from a station to a ship and then back to another station without them ever entering the ship.
Just curious. One of these 5 and 6 or the whole passengers, how many passengers can they hold?
And a couple of people can sleep into those.
So you're looking at, we're going to be picking up like 4 passengers.
The manifest actually does say 4. Yes.
Okay.
So do we see any evidence of any kind of leak or breach in pod 3?
Nothing whatsoever.
Because I'm just concerned if this is a biological agent, which is algae, and then there's other biological algae agents. I'm really curious to see if there's any algae in our water. That should be taken care of by the ultraviolet lights, killing anything that's in there. But
here we go. Let's see how sophisticated our computer is. What is the origin of the biological matter in the air? Is it coming from a pod?
I can't really see where it's coming from.
Yeah. I think sensors work like that.
Also, I would think that since we've been outside of suits for the last 6 days or so, we've generated lots of biological matter.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I should be able to filter that, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, even if there is foreign bodies in the air, it's not like there's not foreign bodies in the air everywhere for us. But we can do an atmosphere purge and vent this out into space and then just replace it. I don't know what they're called. The kind of using out of the game. The kind that use in submarines that use electricity to make air.
Would that work though? If you purge our system and then you replenish the oxygen, isn't the oxygen coming from the same place it's coming from right now?
Dude, that was my concern.
The oxygen's being made by water.
They're actually splitting hydrogen and oxygen apart.
Yeah.
Supply new.
And then the hydrogen is combined back into water.
But the water was where the contaminant was originally.
Yeah, except that it's not that same kind of process. We're talking about tearing it apart on the atomic level and making it into oxygen.
The question there would be whether or not when we replaced the oxygen, we had enough bacterial film to still live. But, vacuum for a few minutes will take care of a lot of stuff.
Hey, Cap, are we there yet?
Far from it.
Well, you're not quite halfway. Well, the computer jumps in and goes, hey, guys, look, I got an idea. I'll vent, as we discussed, we can vent. I can bump up the ultraviolet light within the water tanks. You verified that the seal has been made correctly for the pod cargo area. And you can leave your suits on and I'll test the air again.
Could you also do like if we put our visor shields down, can you do an ultraviolet purge maybe a 20-minute burn through the whole ship to kill anything that's floating around in the on the walls. And
I don't have that kind of setup throughout the entire ship, but the cargo bay area does have ultraviolet light to purge anything that we might bring onto the ship, of course.
All right. Well, do what you can.
All right. Purges the air in the ship. Everybody's got their suit on, walk through the little area in the cargo area, shines ultraviolet light, lift your arms, all that. Decontaminates you, cleans the air. Air is good. Comes back good. The Thophelius Brown tests 6 hours later, you get the results of your plating. It's bacteria. It seems to be human. Like it's human sourced. It's a whole bunch of different bacteria, but it doesn't seem to be anything foreign or bizarre. It's just a lot of human-based bacteria.
So do I have the pharmacy capable of taking care of it?
You do have a whole slate of antibiotics available to you, yes.
Jack everybody up on the appropriate antibiotic.
All right. Easy enough. Everybody is antibiotic. You got your shots. And the day progresses. You move and pushing it ahead a little bit. Nothing significant happens for a few days. You're moving along. You do occasionally have nightmares. You still occasionally have voices, like while you're sleeping and stuff. But it becomes commonplace. You just think it's got to be the drives. It's got to be the sound of the drives, that humming noise, perhaps. Yeah. And you're getting closer and closer. Day 14 approaches, and the indicator lights go on the screen, and a message comes into Dr. Nestle saying the comet is approaching. You get your orders. Your orders are to close approach. The pilots are asked to close approach to the comet and within a kilometer. And you are to send out a probe and collect a sample from the comet.
What kind of probe is that?
You actually do have small, self-sufficient, it's like an EVA suit without a person in it.
Space drones.
Little drones, guys, yeah.
Space drones, yeah, space drones. And you can send it over, and you can close approach to the comet because it's a quite maneuverable ship. And as your ship approaches this comet, it is the strangest thing you've ever seen. It's iridescent. It's like a snowball covered in gemstones. Iridescent rocks.
What kind of size are we talking?
It's fairly large. It's like about 500 meters across. Well, not fairly large. It's 500 meters across. 500.
Have you ever seen the like? I've never seen anything like this before.
And it has a long tail? Does it have much of a tail?
No significant tail that you can see because you're so far from the sun right now.
Right.
But the computer says, wow, look at those rocks. Those are quite some minerals.
So it's not outgassing yet?
No.
Do we pick up any kind of organic matter?
You don't see anything organic, but the computer says, I've done a scan, fellas. There's quite a bit of energy coming off of this. Nothing dangerous, nothing that we're worried about putting in our ship, but wow, there is a lot of energy coming, a lot of, interesting. That's all I can say.
Radiation?
Yes.
Any dangerous forms of radiation that we should avoid?
It doesn't appear so. Certainly more than I've ever noticed any comets or asteroids that we've passed in the last few years, but nothing unheard of. It's just very strange. I mean, it's certainly the mineral composition of this comet is quite different.
And it glows in the visual spectrum.
Yes. Well, light reflects off of it in an iridescent way.
Okay, so it's not necessarily giving off light; it's just shimmering.
Yes, that's correct.
In dim starlight. And is there a heat signature?
No, ice cold.
Captain, I think we found ourselves a source of dilithium crystals.
Hey, let's go rate it. Sell it on the black market and make a mint.
So,
is there any way to take a sample with our probe?
Yes, that's what the probe is to do. It's to collect a sample and bring it to pod 4. That's your instructions.
So it seems like they didn't tell us that they were putting pod 4 on, but they put it there so that they could carry this home.
Yeah, put some
it's
stuff.
Like they didn't tell us a lot.
Out of curiosity, the radiation that's coming off of it, is it safe for humans?
computer says, well, let's just say you wouldn't want it in your sleeping quarters, but I have control over the pods, and we can certainly prevent it from spreading beyond the cargo bay area.
Guys, not my department, but should you not check the algae thingy levels? Because radiation often has an effect on life forms.
Right.
And it
well,
could be
I
affecting
agree.
it.
we should be fairly well shielded, though, from anything like that. But yeah, let's make sure it doesn't affect the because it's right next to the cargo that we're dropping on the North Pole.
We're also going real fast, and I would hate to have our engines get sick if the algae doesn't like this glowing space rock.
Close enough to Mars, though, that if we had a problem, they could send out a rescue
Yeah,
ship.
but
True.
we're going faster than the rescue ships are, and we
That's
wouldn't
true.
have steering if we had no engines.
Computer, can you do an analysis on the radiation outputs of the Comet as opposed to the shielding in the cargo bay area?
Yes, it's been actually the systems have been set and reinforced during the dry dock phase, and no, the radiation will not spread beyond the cargo bay area.
Yeah.
Correct, but will it penetrate the other cargo bays? Will it be self-contained in its own, it's for its own container, or will it spread throughout the entire cargo bay area,
Let me check.
thus affecting the other pods?
No, it should be negligible. It would be the effect of, let's say, an old-fashioned X-ray.
Okay. Well, Cal,
Yeah, the company wants it. $2,000. Sounds good to me.
All right.
And it's kind of pretty.
Yeah, I'm curious about getting a closer look at this unusual.
What size
rock.
chunk is our probe designed to take?
It can take a piece no larger than like that. Yeah, like a relatively small piece.
All right.
Like. So
Basketball size.
So the probe heads out. Probe collects a sample. Probe flies back to the rear of the ship where the cargo area is, and there are separate cargo doors at the rear that allow it to go directly into pod 3 or 4 rather. Don't mess it up. Pod 4 sample cart, and the actual probe itself will stay with the sample as it's been in contact with it. It goes into the pod, it locks itself in place, and you're ready to proceed.
Is there any way we can get a sliver that Dr. Nestle can have a look at?
I don't think we'd want to bring it into the.
Well, that's why I said
I
sliver.
agree. Well, let's keep to the plan and keep it secured for now.
But
I mean,
aren't you
I'd
can-
suit up and go to the cargo bay for a closer look. But I wouldn't even want to bring the suit back out of the cargo bay.
I think it's wise if we just stick to the plan, as it were, and I'm sure we can work up something where Dr. Nestle can have a look at it afterwards.
And the corporation's going to have this chunk, so
Yeah, but we're not going to get another chance. It's been 15 days with nothing to do. That Call of Cthulhu game sucked.
I've been trying to get Barry to play Go with me for the last 6 years off and on. I just won't do it.
That's because it's the most boring game on the planet.
I just
Right up there
Talk
with
about Go.
I don't understand the things about the eyes.
Uh,
All right,
if you
fine.
just sit down with me, I could show you.
All right, engines are firing back up. By the way, the computer says, "Okay, guys, ready to move on. Take your pictures. Let's go."
All right. I'm
Face here.
maneuvering the ship out of
I
the Comet's wake back onto course.
pull out my iPhone 17 and take some pictures. Holographic ones, of course.
All right. Are you actually going to go in? It's going to be on your ship until you get back to Earth. That's.
There's no airlock between the storage bay and the rest of the ship.
Well, there is really.
There is.
There is. Okay. So if I can, if we have sufficient resources that there are spare suits and I can get sprayed down in between, then I'll totally suit up and go and inspect that thing.
All right, easy enough. You get in there. It's an iridescent block of crystalline mineral. You take a few tools with you. You can actually chip off a piece of it. It's not that hard of a mineral. It flakes quite easily.
And does it make any sense on the elemental table, the periodic table?
You'd have to have the computer scan it, but yes, it's a combination of pure silica and another mineral too. It's an alloy of sorts. It's almost like an alloy constructed through igneous rock and projection. Yeah,
So it's
a
pretty
mineral.
interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's something. The computer says my prediction would be that something crashed into a planet covered with these minerals, and they went into space and formed a comet and blah blah blah. So yeah.
How does it look under the light? That's the artificial light in the bay.
It's again very iridescent. It doesn't move or anything like that, but as you move it, you can see all the different colors and such. It's quite beautiful.
And what are we talking about on the Geiger counter?
It's radioactive, but only in the sense of you wouldn't want to sleep with it, like the computer said. But it's certainly being around it isn't any more than having an X-ray. So it's not super dangerous, but
like radium.
Mm-hmm, like radium.
Yeah.
So over the comm, guys, the stuff's pretty neat. We've got a pretty good chunk. I could try to stash a few chips in an unused part of the storage bay if you guys want a souvenir. It's radioactive, though. It might be dumb. Anybody?
No, I think we'd better just keep it where it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
And I know what they're going to call it, Audium.
Yeah, you probably nailed that one.
They're calling it Audium.
I don't want to dwell on this, but if you start bringing radioactive material into the crew quarters of my ship, I'm probably going to lose my shit.
I assure you, co-pilot Lando, I'm not talking about it leaving the storage bay. Okay, I'm just gonna scan it with the closest, the coolest little my Pixel 19. Get all the data I can and
Okay.
leave it all and do suit.
All right. Quite interesting. Not a mineral you've seen on Earth, or not a mineral composition you've seen on Earth. It's probably new. Probably something that hasn't been some combination of mineral of elements that hasn't been named as a mineral before.
I'm going to talk to some family on Earth and see if it could be Nesleaudium.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't take some samples for your own. You're a scientist.
Well, again, when we land, we'll see how things go. But I'm not going to bring it on the ship when we're still.
So, the excitement over. You go about your business. You can see Mars now. It's a ball in the sky. You're heading towards it. I mean, everything's programmed. You're spending the rest of your day gathering up waste, essentially, things that you're going to food stuff you're going to ditch at the space station and all that.
I'm busy Instagramming the pictures I took of the comet and the pretty stones.
Of course. You're getting ready. You're going to spend like a little bit of time after you drop the pods and you go to the space station to hang out for a bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Have we felt any difference in acceleration, deceleration as we're
Other than slowing down for the comet and then speeding up again? No.
I wonder how they're dampening the acceleration, deceleration G-forces. Some new thing that we're not aware of.
Yeah, Dante told us that these engines could do that. He didn't describe how it's possible, and that is as big a problem for me as the second law of thermodynamics problem with this drive. Once we have completed this, I feel like it's going to start to enter the public domain, but they still have all the patents blacked out. But it's not, I have no theoretical basis for how this works.
I'm going to tell you guys, this piloting this thing, does what it says, but it isn't perfect. I mean, there are just some times when you have to undercompensate and overcompensate at the same time just to make it get the results. It's still unrefined. It's been interesting. I haven't flown anything like this before. Not like the simulations that I went through. You learn a lot on the fly.
100% true. The simulations were best case scenario. They were absolutely smooth, and you do notice there are some little differences in the way you fly. All right, you're packing your things you're getting ready for the drop. You go to sleep. It's essentially nighttime. Pilot, co-pilot, who's taking the night shift for flying or for sitting at the controls?
I'll take the shift. I don't mind.
After much protest, I'll let him have the shift.
I haven't been sleeping very well. I'm happy to
I haven't
stay.
been doing the best myself, but every other day you always get some kind of nightmares.
All right, as everyone's essentially either having a rest or resting or relaxing, or if you're not sleeping, you're thinking about it. Computer comes on, says, "Co-pilot Lando, we have an issue.
Go ahead.
Please turn on the feed for cargo bay, or pod 4 or 3, please." Not 4.
I shall do just that.
You turn it on, and the actual camera is completely fogged up. You can't see anything. It says, "We've got a water leak. It appears we have a water leak in the cargo pod."
It's supposed to be sorted. I assume that I've got some way of calling up the engineers.
Yes, absolutely.
And I will buzz the engineers and inform them
What?
exactly what I've just been told.
What?
We've got a water leak in the cargo pod. It's an immediate issue. I need you down there right away.
Which
Temperature
cargo?
spiking. Temperature spiking. I can't explain it. I can't dampen the temperature.
I'll suit up.
Yeah, be careful. There's a temperature spike in there as well. I
It's
think we
getting
might have some sort of leak or something. Possibly the coolant, maybe.
Sean, do we have like different types of suits for different environments, or is there like a fire suit?
You have your flight suits, and you have EVA suits for going outside of the ship and coming around the other way. Now, one thing you do realize is you can actually access the pods from outside of the ship as well. The cargo pods.
And which pod did you say it was that's being affected?
The pod containing the pods that you're going to be dropping.
So 3.
Yes, 3.
Oh shit. All right, so I got my suit on as well.
Should we suit up in EVA just in case we need to get out, or 1-in-1, or?
Let's see what we're dealing with right now.
All right.
Okay. You suit up. You get down to the cargo bay, and you can see the actual. Through the doorway, you can see the window on the cargo pod, and it's completely fogged over. And as you watch, something hits the fog and slides down it.
What the hell was that?
Great boogly moogly. What the hell? You know, Pius, these things are designed to land in the ice at the top of the planet and be affected by the water. If they're getting access to water, they're going to start doing whatever they do, which might be grow. And if it's uncontrollable growth, holy shit.
Computer, ETA on drop zone.
Barry, we
6 hours.
might have to consider dumping this pod. There's something growing in there.
There's something moving and hit the glass.
I've lost all sensors in the pod area. I can't see. This is strange. You did not shut anything off. I know you didn't. Your computer's confused. It has no sensor abilities within the cargo bay.
Can you use your suit cameras to give me an image of whatever it is you're looking at down there?
Yeah, here, look. You can see through the glass, the plexiglass window.
I'm going to call the captain.
Yeah, I can't get the light to turn on in there.
Sean, now where that thing hit the glass and slid down, did it take away some of the condensation? Can I go up and look into it?
It might
Yes,
be
you can.
bubbling. Oh, you're going to go in the room?
No. I'm going to go into the glass. It has a window.
You're looking through the door to the cargo bay. You have to go into the cargo bay to see into the window of the individual cargo unit.
There's the pod with a window inside of a room with a window. We're looking into the room.
Well, I put the EVA suit on, so
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to go into the first room, but to look, well, I'm not going to go right up to it. I'm going to see if I can go into the room and then look in. If I can't see, then I'll get closer to the glass.
Is the power off in that room?
No, power's on.
Okay, so there is light.
Emergency lighting. You go in and you can see through the window. There are the 3 objects. One of them is open at the top. The other one is opening.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
I was going to say, the one that is open, you can see that the contents are now on the floor and against the doorway to what you know to be cargo pod 4.
Now, can I get a visual link from my suit to the pilot?
Yes.
I'm just going to connect that.
All right.
And then,
I'm waking up. Oh, guys, this better be good. What's going on?
We've got a situation, sir. There appears to be, well, it started as a leak in the storage pod. Now it appears that we've got something actually growing in there. In fact, it appears to be growing in front of our eyes, as it were.
Captain, pod 2 is beginning to open now as well.
All right, guys, get out of there. Seal off the cargo bay now.
Aye, Captain.
Who woke up the doctor? Oh no, that's sorry. That's the.
Have you got welding equipment down there?
No, guys, that ain't gonna work. I mean, we're engineers. If you try to contain something that's growing like that, it's gonna by battening it down and tightening it up, it's just gonna make the explosion all the worse. I think we need to jettison the pod.
I agree. Let's do it right now.
Right.
Now,
okay.
Sean, before I come back into the main part of the ship, is there some sort of decontamination that I can do?
You can. Yes, it'll take a few minutes.
All right, you step over there and I'll hose you down.
I still want to. I don't feel like coming back in without doing at least an attempt at that.
Okay, well, we can't
area.
jettison anything until.
That's right.
I'm running up to the bridge, and
You better get the Quan Canyon transportation on the line before we jettison this thing. Maybe they know a way to put it back together.
Yeah, I think, have klaxons gone off yet? Are those of us who are not on duty awake?
Yes. There's now some lights flashing in your rooms and some alarms.
Oh, I definitely get up then.
Yeah. So I don't think we have to call anybody. I think we have to dump this. It's hot. We've got an experimental drive and a valuable ship. And
let's dump it, and we'll face the consequences later.
Yep.
Jettison.
All right. You hit the dump button. 2 things happen at once. Well, first, the engineer comes out of the airlock.
Yeah,
3.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah, well, after he's back in, of course.
You're holding onto his hand as he comes in. You see sparks behind you, a flash of light, and you jettison the pod. The cargo unit with the pods in it goes. However, there's a flash of light behind you as that happens, and what you see, because you look instinctively behind you, is that it has busted through the door into cargo pod 3, where the drone was.
You mean
so
4.
the object? Yeah. So 4, right? It made its way from 3 into 4, So the pod with the unit with the two other pods has been jettisoned. The first has made it into the actual other cargo pod.
That too.
What is going on?
Jettison the whole works.
I think it has to do with water. It's seeking out water, which is probably what it was supposed to do. Yeah, let's set this to jettison.
Jettison all pods, the whole works. Let's just get rid of it all.
Computer, cut all water supply to Pod Bay area.
Done.
All right. Prepare to jettison pod 4. That's the one with the crystal thing in it.
Ready to go.
Everything is secure. Let's jettison that.
Nothing happens.
Oh, crap.
I'm sorry, guys. The ability to jettison that pod has been turned off.
What? Jettison the pod. Jettison the pod. How?
I can't do it, guys.
Is there a manual release?
Yeah.
Of course there is. Yes, but you'd have to be outside the ship to do that.
Can you tell us at what point the ability to jettison was interrupted?
Yes.
Did you? Yes, it seems to be when the last. No, actually, it was actually during the first data upload.
So this is programming.
Yes, I'm not allowed to turn it off. I'm not allowed to affect the programming.
Oh, great.
Cal, suit up, Cal.
I'm suiting up. All right.
Okay, I think we're going to have to reduce speed.
I'm doing that right now.
I mean, it doesn't matter in terms of the PA because they're all at the same acceleration.
You might want to look at this, guys. And the computer turns on the monitor without you even asking, and you see the camera from inside pod 4. The pod
4.
It's 4. You can see that the black object, it is now, here's where you all have to make a sanity roll.
Oh, I got me a 99.
I got an 86, as I predicted I would last night.
You did.
I made it at 40.
I bet normal
68.
fail.
68, I made it.
51 out of 50.
All right. Anyone who just failed, take a couple points of sanity there. Just 1 die 4. Anyone who failed miserably, let's just explain what you see. You see inside a creature. Now, this isn't like something you expected, like a liquid or something like that, like chemical that was being dropped on the planet. This is actually a creature. This is like an 8-armed, 6-foot tall, black with tiny little shimmering lights within it creature that is rising up and enveloping the sample and the probe itself. And there are arms like with fingers. This is something totally beyond anything you've ever seen before. This doesn't make sense. I mean, aliens were proposed. They don't exist. But this looks alien to you.
The hell is going on here on my ship?
What do I roll for sanity?
6. Die 6, please.
I grabbed my weapon.
Which is a bottle of bourbon.
I lose 4, but
Scalpel.
that's not much of a weapon.
What do you have?
I have a jettison the fucking thing with the monster in it. I am. My reaction, since I did some damage psychologically, is I am extremely frantic. I am running to the airlock to go outside and jettison that fucking pod before the monster gets out and eats us all.
Yep, I'm right on his heels.
And I don't think it's an alien. I think that it's some biological thing that's gone haywire.
All right. And did anyone actually try to send a message back to Quan Kenyon Corporation?
I'm on that right now.
Not my department.
They have received your message. They're not responding.
This is not a coincidence.
Keep sending.
Not
Keep sending and on emergency. Full emergency.
All right. Computer says to you, who's going out the airlock? The engineers or one engineer or both? Both of you? Okay.
Both.
You guys are in the airlock. You're getting ready. Door shuts, air vents. You're going out the bottom of the ship where you can get back over to the area where you can manually open a slide and crank open to get the
And we have whatever's necessary to.
You're doing that. Takes a few minutes. I mean, some space and stuff. So you're on your way to do that. Computer says, guys, I'm really sorry. I can't stop this. And then you hear, and it's the sound of the cargo doors opening. The cargo bay.
Shit.
Do we have any sort of lockdown procedure?
You can lock the doors, yes.
Right, I'm going to put the whole ship into lockdown, seal the bulkheads, as it were.
Ka-chunk, ka-chunk. You can hear the
I don't have
bolts
to
go.
say as it were. I'm actually a pilot, aren't I? Seal the bulkheads.
Jing, jing. Oh, that's controlling.
Computer, what's going on back there?
I'm sorry, guys. I can't control this.
Hey, Cal, I think
Is
the
this
Not
on
a
a-
computer, are you? I mean, really?
Is this on an autonomous program?
This is programming I can't control. I'm sorry, guys.
I think this is a fail-safe override. If in case something happens, just to so whatever this is, information doesn't get out.
The ship's actually turning.
We don't know what's going on inside the ship. Ralph.
Oh,
No.
I thought it was on comms. Sorry.
There's a lot of talk going on. The computer's speaking to all of you. Engineers, you know something's going on, but it's in the background. It's not. They're not speaking to you. Pilot, co-pilot. The ship is now diverted course. It's heading directly. You look at the numbers. It's heading to actually burn up in the atmosphere on Mars.
Do we have
The
escape
hell?
pods?
Pardon me?
Do we have escape pods?
Lifeboats, no.
Who are you asking?
On this itty bitty ship.
I'm asking you, the GM, do we have escape pods?
The pilot and you know that there is a single escape pod.
That would fit 2 people?
It would fit up to 4.
Oh, well, okay. So,
Now, I assume that
first come, first served.
if given that we're moving at a significant shift in direction should be felt. That's right, isn't it? Basically.
Yes. Yeah, we should feel some sideways.
Yep. The engineers are feeling some movement now. The doors are open. You can actually exit the craft now.
Oh, we've been outside.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah,
You've been
we're
outside.
working on,
They're
it's
trying to thump the damn thing. But of course, oh guys, they've opened the doors, so I don't know if it matters. Like we don't have control of the cargo bay any longer. That was overridden by software. If you can get back in, you might as well, because it's already in. Captain Landau, can you tell us about the change of course? Is that you're doing?
No, it's not. This just happened.
And where are we headed?
We are headed on a wrong way course directly into the atmosphere of Mars. We are going to burn up very soon if we don't correct.
Right.
Okay.
I think
Computer.
we start by suiting
Yes.
up. Or are we still in our suits from
You're
last time we suited
You're
up?
still in your suits, I think. Yes.
So,
Hello.
Computer, is there any way to bring manual control back?
I'm working on it.
Work on it faster.
I make my way to the escape pod.
You don't know where it is, and you don't know about it.
Computer, do you know the source of the software update?
It's called Quan Kenya Corporation.
Then in that case, I'm really starting to feel sick, and I self-medicate.
Guys, you might want to look at this, the computer says, and it shows the creature is now, the thing, whatever it is now exiting the cargo bay.
And it was glowing from within. Was it glowing in the similar colors to the asteroid?
No.
It's been great knowing you all. I think that the best thing that can happen is that we burn up in the atmosphere. I don't want this hybrid life form that's powered by a strange asteroid to land on Mars.
Engineer 1, Engineer 2, can you two, while they're talking, do an idea roll?
Ooh. 09.
Fell.
Okay.
Well, I'm banging on your helmet going,
Why not just flush the atmosphere in the cabins?
You just,
I was going to suggest, yes.
oh, sorry.
go ahead,
Oh,
Sean. What's my
Cal,
idea?
you came to the conclusion in your mind, wait a minute, cold. This thing doesn't like cold.
Needs heat. I'm going to patch in through the intercom and say, guys, are y'all wearing your suits?
Yep.
Yep.
Computer, can you do a fire suppression system? CO2.
Yes?
Fire the fire suppression system. Guys, I think cold drives it back.
Why not flush the cabins of oxygen and then you'd let space inside? That will make it very cold.
Space is not cold. That's a myth. CO2 is cold.
Do it.
Where shall I, what the entire
Focus,
ship?
Wherever the life form is.
focus
hallway.
concentration.
Yeah.
All right. The hallway, it's
Flush it.
flooding the hallway with CO2. You see on the monitor, of course, CO2 pouring into the hallway, and the creature backing away from it instantly and being essentially pushed back towards the cargo bay. It goes into the airlock area.
If we can get it back into one of the pods, we could just jettison it.
Where is it
Smart
moving?
guys.
We, of course, can't see. We don't have monitors, so.
Yeah, it's good so far. Keep pushing. Keep pushing.
All
If you
right.
get it to the airlock, jettison it.
It keeps pushing. I see what you're doing, guys, and it keeps pushing the CO2, and it says, I can't shut the doors, though. It's pushing, and you don't see it anymore. As far as you know, it's in the cargo bay.
Can you guys, you got your helmets on.
Yeah.
Grab a hold of something so you don't get pushed out into outer space.
Let's see if we can suck this bastard out.
Yep.
Like in that old movie, Aliens.
Let's do it. Force event through the cargo bay.
It's in the cargo bay as far as you know right now.
Computer, access ancient record movie Aliens. Scan in end of movie where they push the thing out the airlock. See if we can do that to this thing.
You'd have to manually open one of the cargo bay jettison ports.
All right, we're gonna work on that.
Do it.
You were already
We got it halfway. We got it halfway.
Computer, can you open any? Can you drop any of the storage pods?
Absolutely.
Drop them all.
Well,
That might create a vacuum, is because we have open bay door.
the engineers will have to move out of the way.
Gentlemen, have you got that?
You guys are cranking away at trying to open the
Before
doors.
before we do that, just to clarify, Sean, where's the escape pod?
The escape pod is actually, if someone were to actually go in the cargo bay in an area, I can tell you right now, behind 1 and 5 and 3, there is another storage pod in there that is not showing up on the records.
I love this company.
Yeah. All right. You want us to get out of the way? Let's get out of the way.
Yeah, Cal Pius, are you reading? You can get out of the way. We're going to try and drop the whole pod.
Yeah, we moved
Clear.
down under the ship, past the cargo bay.
All right. Are you? As soon as you are clear, the car computer says, "I'm ready to go if you guys are."
All clear.
Hold on.
All right. Thump, 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 thump. All pods except for the one that contained the sample are now jettisoned. It does create a negative pressure situation, or positive pressure situation, really.
Right.
You see something fly past you along with the pods out into space.
Ooh. Can we, underneath the ship looking out, can we see if it's the creature?
It appears it is.
Guys, are you still hanging on?
Yep, we're still here.
Get inside.
Computer, how are you doing in terms of control at this point?
Do I have control, computer?
Yes, everything is returned.
All right, get inside, guys.
All right, we're coming through the main airlock.
And as soon as you have visual, computer, I'd like to know what you can scan inside this storage pod bay.
Yes, just a moment. Clear, venting the air, closing the hatches. Storage pod 4 is still in the unit, of course, because it hasn't been jettisoned. I have no camera inside there, but I can see that the rest of the cargo bay has been emptied, including the lifeboat.
Oh,
and
crap.
The pilot and co-pilot know that the lifeboat was the other pod.
How did you jettison 6? Because it's behind 4.
Well,
Computer just moves it where it.
Okay.
you can.
Went out, 6 moved over.
They jettison from below, like they pop out.
Oh, they dropped down. Okay.
Yes, they drop down. That's how they're loaded in. So
Um,
all that's left in the cargo bay is 4.
Does 4 physically look intact?
Yes.
Okay,
How's the bulkhead between the? Do we have computer? Have we control of the bulkhead between the storage pods and the ship?
Yes.
And can you scan for any software that indicates that you will lose control over that bulkhead? Can you look for code?
Programming is not preventing any further issues that I can see.
Are there any seal damages or anything to the doors because of this incident?
Do not believe so.
Do you think we should repressurize, guys?
I'm going to, I say hold on for just a minute. And I'm going to go back there and look and see if there's any residual biological material that's attached to the walls or the floor or the ceiling or anything like that.
Be careful in there.
What's everyone else doing? Just so I know.
I'm getting control of the ship and keeping us from burning up.
You have it.
Computer, I'm concerned about any radiation signal because it appears that asteroid presented a real threat.
The radiation levels are dropping.
I'm waiting in the halls for the engineers to come out so I can give them an examination.
We don't have time for that right now. We'll just give us some time to make sure we're secure.
Gonna hightail it to the nearest station.
Yeah, call in.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. Calling into the nearest station,
Smart.
hightailing it to it.
As a thought and a precautionary measure, Sean, could you tell me if we were all in on the control deck and we initiated a full lockdown and sealed all of the bulkheads, would we be able to, are the environmental controls such that we would be able to flood a specific area with pure oxygen?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
I had to think about that. Yes. All right. So engineers, are you both going into the cargo bay area?
Yes, I'm backing them up. I don't think we should be. Everybody should be in pairs.
Okay, you walk into the cargo bay area. Doors, you open and shut the doors behind you. There's things lying around because with jettisoning all those things at once, a few things have come loose off the walls. There's an axe. There is piping. There is a couple of loose wires that had connected to the pods the storage pods to provide electricity to. They're arcing a little bit. There's still electricity coming through them. Then the pod is sitting there. Number 4 is just sitting there. The door is busted open where the creature had gotten through.
Okay, no biological material anywhere on the walls or floor? Or...
No, in the cargo bay area, there's nothing. It's just looks like it does when you're in dry dock, except you're in space.
All right. But the pod 4 is the door's busted off of it.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to look in there.
How's your dodge?
Nope.
All right. As you open the door, a much smaller, but still, just the creature-y, a much smaller object. It seems to have, it's now has embedded within it some of those little bits of the iridescent material. The black creature comes out and takes a swing at you and hits you, knocking you sideways. You aren't able to dodge. It's not moving super fast, but it's certainly moving towards you. Pius, you see the creature, this now, is come out of the pod and has gone after Cal and knocked him down. It looks like it did before in the video where it's all black, matte black with these tiny little flecks of sparkles in it. But now it has also these iridescent bits in it as well that seem to be moving around in its body. It's much smaller, but the size of a child.
First thing I'm going to do is get on the comms and say we still have an entity on board. It's attacking Cal. While I'm saying that, I want to reach for anything within grasp and throw it at it, whether it's a pipe, a box, anything, whatever's within.
There's a pipe. There's pieces of axes.
There's an axe. I'll grab the axe and just swing at it then.
All right, make a swing.
And I'm on the ground on my back up against the wall trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
17 out of 45. It's a hard, not an extreme.
Woof. Okay. Well, roll some damage.
What would that be? D8 or D6?
In space, D6, because you don't have as much momentum.
And I passed a sanity roll.
Okay.
4 plus damage bonus, total of 6.
Okay. All right. Creature is taking damage. It's backed away slightly, and now it's moving out towards you because you struck at it. It's not moving super fast, although you're not moving super fast either because of the EVA suit. So it's coming after you. Cal, you're actually able to scramble up on your feet.
Okay. We need something cold, I yell. I doubt that we have fire extinguishers since that's what the computer does.
Do I, by chance, have any liquid nitrogen?
I don't think so. I wouldn't. That's all. You've got a little tiny container of it. That's a spray can.
What about the storage of the hydrogen for the
from the electrolysis.
Yeah.
Hydrolysis.
Not sure what that's called.
Yes, there actually is. Yes, there's hydrogen that is stored. It's actually used to assist in the propulsion.
Electrolytic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is hydrogen. It's stored somewhere on.
Is it stored in liquid form?
Yes.
But it's probably not something you can pick up and walk around with.
No.
No, but we could try and lure it. I'm talking to you on the comms, I assume.
Right.
But we could try and lure it towards one of the conduits for the hydrogen, and then somehow pierce the hydrogen. The problem is that because of the safety and security protocols, we don't have anything that can pierce the bulkhead. Unless
Pius,
you've got
it's
a
coming
drill.
after you.
Well, this is ridiculous. However, I'm scared. I've taken some sanity loss. I run back to my room, which is close to the pods, and I grab my dustbin and I run over there and I try to put it down on top of the creature.
Pius, you see him scurry on out the airlock while you're backing away from the creature. You can have another swat at it while he's run off.
I'm going to say I'm backing up towards the door as I swing then, because
Yep.
I think he just took off. 24 out of 45, just a regular success.
Okay, go ahead.
6 again. 4 and a 2.
Okay.
I'll be back on my next round.
Yes. Okay, it's still coming after you. The computer is actually now trying to help that you've come close to the airlock doors. It's spraying CO2 at it's coming over top of you. You can feel it through the AVA suit after a little while, but not right away. And it is driving the thing backwards a bit.
And I'm just trying to keep it back. I'm not actively going, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Jim Elric, can you make an idea roll?
Odd 9. Extreme.
Okay. Your idea is you say to the computer, you think you can have the computer open one of the openings beneath the cargo pods,
Mm-hmm.
and create another vacuum, because he's in an EVA suit that actually has some jet controls. So if you think if it works, you could actually retrieve him.
Okay. Go for it.
You have to tell the computer what you want.
Sorry. Sorry. I was trying to speed
It was just
things
an
along.
idea you had.
Okay.
Yes.
Computer.
Yes.
See if you can push that thing to one of the EVA doors in the bay. One that you have control over, and as soon as it's over it, space it.
All right, Pius, you hear this? You get the idea that they're going to try to open up another door. So the creature, it's spraying the CO2 at it, and it's fighting, and you can see one of the pod bays, the doors starting to open, and you can feel the pressure of the air within the cargo area, pulling it towards it.
Just as I come running back with my trash can.
Yeah, you're in the airlock. You go through one, you open up the other door, and you've got a trash can. You see this thing moving towards the open door.
Guys, hold on.
It's being sucked, but it's fighting it.
Can I do like a golf swing?
Yes, you can.
Well, I'm gonna hold my trash
you
can
got
and let it go. Scoops it out.
98.
You swing, and you keep swinging. You lose your balance, and you sort of, your momentum-wise, your boots come off the ground, and you kind of spin in the air a bit. Cal,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do?
Well, I'm going to let go of the trash can and see if the trash can just rams into it. And both the trash can and the...
It can get hit with the trash can. Let's see if it loses its. That's a 13. All right, the creature is actually at the edge right now, at the edge of the opening to space, and it's being pulled out. But the air pressure is starting to drop off because only so much air is
right
in there. The computer's shooting at carbon dioxide, and you can actually, there's things flying around, they're sliding towards the opening as well. Some pipes and some things are passing by your feet. You're not sliding yet because you have your mag boots attached to the floor, but you can feel the air pressure. It is starting to drop off though. But the door is now, yeah, the door is now open fully to space.
Can I keep one mag boot attached and kick it with the other one?
Sure. Why not?
I'll try to kick it with the other one.
Okay.
Towards the hole.
Sure. Treat it like a punch or a kick, whatever you want to do.
Okay. 32. That's a brawl pass.
Okay. Boom. It loses its balance. It doesn't attach to your mag boot, which I never thought of. What if those were metallic barrels?
Yeah,
anyway, You kick it. It shoots out the airlock, and you have the creatures off into space.
Close the airlock.
You bet. Chunk. Airlock shut.
I'm moving the ship out of the way so that thing, if it shoots out, has a hard time trying to get us.
Computer, scan entire ship for any other life forms but the crew.
I can't really do that, but I can look around. It looks around, and it doesn't seem to identify anything else in the ship.
I'm gonna keep searching the bay though with the action
Take
hand.
a peek back in that, because we had the big one, then we had the little one. There might be like this one.
No, you're done. That's it. You vacated the ship, and that is essentially the end of the story.
Oh, well, but we got people we got to pick up and take them back.
We've got people who've got to testify in front of who sent us on this mission.
Yes.
Well, that's the next episode.
No.
I succeeded with my unspoken commitment to myself of not leaving the cockpit.
There you go.
Can you imagine how much
I'm a
money
proper
they would
pilot.
pay us for us to keep our mouths shut at this point?
Or they could just auto-destruct the ship and not pay us anything.
We could have done that.
That would cost them so much money.
Well,
Yes, we could have
they
done
were
that.
willing to do that. They were willing
Sean,
to burn it up.
That was a lot of fun, Sean.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah,
that was
tell you what it was.
a one shot.
For a one shot, I'll tell you, I'm surprised at the way you did it. I was expecting, there were all kinds of things you could have done, like flooding the cargo bay with water, but at the same time opening it to space. You could have done that. There's all kinds of things you could have done, but either way, you did it the good old-fashioned way.
So tell us
Only
what
a
it
little
was.
crazy.
It was, get this, a Shoggoth.
I
But
knew it.
what they had done is the corporation had captured a Shoggoth and had implanted throughout its body nanobots to control it. The idea
Okay.
being that they would land it, they would be able to control this creature and be able to make it assist in the terraforming, and then there was a kill code. Captain Pilot Ehrlich forgot that he was given a kill code.
No. Well, I was
Oh.
like, the kill code I was given was to destruct the pod.
The pods, yes. It
Yes,
would
and
have
I'm not
destroyed-
going to destruct the pods unless I have to.
That's true. That's true. There was a kill code that would have eliminated, because electricity would have destroyed the nanobots, so they would have lost control. That wouldn't have been the best thing either. They hadn't tested that. But yes, it was Shoggoths that they had assumed control of, the assumption being they could enslave them, not unlike, Elder.
The elder things did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now
use them to terraform, sorry.
What about the algae? The
Oh, that was
propulsion
just-
system.
It's a red herring.
All right.
What about the crystalline entity?
That actually was the reason the Shoggoth got loose, because the crystalline entity was providing a form of radiation that humans weren't familiar with, but because it came from another part of the galaxy or the universe, whatever, the Shoggoths recognized it as a source of energy, because it would actually, it provided them with the ability to overcome the systems. Even that small amount of that radiation it gave it enough ability to overcome its systems and release itself using its nanobot abilities.
Ah.
Hmm.
So
Well,
it was-
I tell you, I am never flying this cruise ship again.
Well,
so
let's-
this wasn't an accident on the corporate level.
They did not expect it to escape, but once it escaped, they were going to sacrifice you guys if they had to get rid of the evidence.
Ah.
I knew the computer
But
had that
they didn't know the
override.
asteroid would affect it. That was just weird luck.
Right.
Yeah, it was just weird luck. It just
Mhm.
happened to be the secondary mission that they were going to throw at you, and by chance, it caused everything to go into disarray.
Oh, cool. Well, let's go ahead and finish. Our players included Jason Melichok, Mick Swan, Ford Fitch, Jerry Bryant, and David Gasaway, with yours truly as the keeper. No, I'm not the keeper of the secrets. Me too, and Sean Little is the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 5 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production. In order to create a richer listener experience, we provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the shows are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to support our show, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in our description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck. Good game.